Just cut them off. You've heard it 100 times. Maybe you've said it yourself, scrolling past a video at 1 a.m., nodding along like it was the only sane response left. Someone hurts you, disappoints you, says the wrong thing at the wrong time, cut them off. Protect your peace. No explanation owed. It sounds like strength. It sounds like boundaries. And sometimes, it actually is. But here's the question almost nobody asks before they do it. What if the person you're about to cut off isn't actually the problem? What if you're not protecting your peace at all? You're just times exhausted, and exhaustion is wearing the costume of clarity. Here are 6 ways to protect your peace without cutting everyone off. 1. Every conflict should not be labeled toxic. You had one hard conversation, one moment where a friend said something clumsy, or a sibling misread your tone, or someone forgot to check in during a week you needed them to. And somewhere in your chest, a switch flipped. This person is too much. This person is toxic. This person has to go. Here's the uncomfortable truth psychology keeps circling back to. Conflict is not evidence of toxicity. It's evidence of 2 people being human at the same time. Psychologist John Gottman, who spent decades studying what makes relationships survive or collapse, found something that surprises most people. It isn't the presence of conflict that predicts a relationship's failure. It's the absence of time's repair. Couples and friendships that last aren't the ones who never clash. They're the ones who know how to come back together afterward. So the question was never, did this person upset me? The question is, did this happen once, or does it happen on repeat, with no accountability? Those are 2 completely different situations wearing the same emotional weather. 2. Setting boundaries that actually protect. This is where most people quietly get it wrong. They think protecting their peace means disappearing, going quiet, dodging the conversation, letting a friendship fade into nothing rather than saying a single uncomfortable sentence. But avoidance doesn't actually protect you. It just moves the discomfort somewhere you can't see it yet. A boundary is different. A boundary is time-specific. I can't talk about this right now. I won't discuss my relationship at family dinners. I need a day before I respond to that message. A boundary keeps the door open, on your terms. Avoidance just closes it, and hopes you never have to explain why. One of these costs you a hard conversation. The other one costs you the relationship slowly, without you ever consciously choosing to end it. 3. You should not be available to everyone, all the time. Here's where it gets heavier. Because this is the one that hides best. You've felt it, the specific fatigue of being everyone's emotional landing pad, the friend who always calls you first, the family member who unloads and never asks how you're doing back. You answer, you listen, you help, because saying, "not right now," feels almost cruel, even when you're running on nothing. Think about the last group chat that blew up while you were trying to eat dinner in peace. 3 unread messages turn into 30 before you've finished your plate, and somehow you're the one summarizing what everyone missed, mediating who's upset with who, answering questions nobody actually directed at you, and by the time you put your phone down, you're more drained than when the day started, and nobody in that chat has any idea. Psychologists have a name for what you're carrying, and it's heavier than it sounds. Emotional labor times the invisible work of managing not just your own feelings, but everyone else's. Constantly, without it ever being asked for out loud. And here's the part that stings the most. Nobody ever thanks you for it, because nobody can see it happening. Saying, "I don't have the capacity for this today," is not abandonment. It's the only sustainable way to keep showing up for the people who actually matter to you, instead of quietly resenting everyone by December. 4. Everyone should not earn the same access to you. Somewhere along the way, a lot of us absorbed the idea that closeness has to be all or nothing. Someone's either in your life or they're cut out of it completely. But healthy relationships were never built that way. Psychology suggests that trust develops gradually through repeated experiences of safety and reliability, not instant closeness. Think of it less like a wall and more like a series of rooms. Some people get the whole house, the late night calls, the unfiltered thoughts, the version of you that hasn't been edited for public consumption. Other people get the porch, friendly, real, but not everything. And that's not coldness, that's discernment. You don't have to remove someone from your life entirely just because they don't get a key to every room in it. The mistake isn't liking someone less. The mistake is treating "not everyone gets everything" like a betrayal, instead of just how healthy relationships were always supposed to work. 5. Practice emotional detachment where necessary. This is the one people misunderstand the most, because it sounds cold on paper and feels like relief in practice. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you stop absorbing. Someone's in a bad mood, you notice it, without inheriting it. Someone criticizes you, you consider it, without swallowing it whole as fact. Psychologist Albert Ellis, one of the founders of cognitive behavioral therapy, built an entire framework around a simple, uncomfortable truth. It's rarely the event itself that wrecks your peace. It's the story you immediately tell yourself about what the event means about you. Someone else's bad day is data. It is not automatically your assignment. 6. You should stop trying to control people you were never going to be able to control. And here's where it all lands. Because this is the belief hiding underneath almost every other one on this list. You wanted them to understand you without having to explain it twice. You wanted them to react the way a reasonable person would react. You wanted them to simply be different, so that being close to them would stop costing so much. And when none of that happened, cutting them off started to feel like the only remaining move on the board. The illusion of control is one of the biggest drains on psychological well-being. The more energy we spend trying to change someone else's behavior, the less energy we have to regulate our own. Because people only change when they choose to, on their own timeline, for their own reasons, never because you needed them to badly enough. So here's what actually protects your peace. Not distance from everyone who's ever disappointed you. Boundaries that are specific instead of silent. Permission to be unavailable sometimes without narrating why. Rooms in your life that aren't all the same size. A little detachment that isn't the same as not caring. And the quiet relief of finally putting down a rope you were never going to win by pulling on harder. Cutting people off will always feel like the fastest relief. But the slower version, the boundaried version, the version where you stay in the room and just change how much of yourself you bring into it, that's the version that actually lasts. Peace was never about who's left in your life. It's about how much of yourself you get to keep while they're still in it. So tell me, which of these 6 is the one you needed to hear today? Drop the number in the comments. I read every single one. And if this one hit somewhere real, send it to the person who's been quietly trying to figure out the exact same thing. Subscribe for more videos on psychology, human behavior, and the hidden patterns behind the way we think and feel.